What's up, guys? Back on the couch. It is, I believe, episode 3 of Shredded Season. Hope you guys are enjoying the content that's coming out. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's workout video with Ashton. I know he had a good time. I know I did. Was going to have another workout video planned for this week, but had some complications recording. So we have this video here today. So a little up in the weight from last week. I was about 195.6 this morning. However, it was Mother's Day yesterday, so I did take a day to kind of enjoy spending time with family and, a lot of food and stuff like that. So it happens. I'm not too worried about it. I know it caused the weight gain, but I'm just going to work just as hard as I did last week, and I'm sure I'll be back on track. And it's probably mostly water weight anyway, so again, I'm not really too worried about it. So yeah, today's video is going to be a little bit more different. Back on the couch, per the norm. You got Tito's up sleeping in the corner over there. Just minding his own business. Today I wanted to tell a story that I haven't told on here yet. Now, this is the story of how I got to where I am now when it comes to my fitness journey. So it's going to be a lot of jibber jabbering and stuff like that. So if you get bored, I get it. I don't want to listen to some fucking dude yap for ages and stuff like that. But before the video starts, I love you guys so much for, enjoying the content and wanting to like and hit the sub button. We're almost at 50 subs, so go like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Comment anything funny, or if you think of any challenges or anything or content ideas, put them down there. I'll take a look at them. I respond to all my comments, so feel free. And then all my links for Ryse Supps and Vital Apparel, links on the screen here, will be in the description as well. So, to start, this is my 4th year actually being serious when it comes to working out and dieting when it comes to the gym. I would say it's been longer. However, I was not as in tune with it as I am now. So I really got a start into the gym in high school. Throughout most of my childhood, especially through high school and middle school, I was bullied quite a bit. I was overweight. I had glasses. Was a nerd. All kinds of stuff. Even when I played football, I wasn't the typical football player, just big, mean dude or anything like that. I was just trying to do what I need to do, play as hard as I could, and that really got me to a point where in my mind I'm like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Getting picked on for my weight, all this kinds of stuff. So that's when I, started going and working out. Now, thankfully for me, at my school we had a weight training class, so you could actually work out, which was how I got started with that, and working out with my dad before as well. That really kick-started kind of the mindset, but I wasn't fully locked in. So, graduated high school 2020, and was still going to the gym, but my diet was still inconsistent. It was pretty much eating whatever I could, not really counting my calories, just kind of eating. And at the time, I was still dealing with a lot of people, a lot of, bullying and stuff like that, and getting picked on for my weight and stuff. So eating at that point for me was it was my coping mechanism. It was the thing that, it's like, oh, this, if I eat, it'll make me happy, but eating also makes me fat, and that's what they're making fun of me for. So then I graduate, and then I go off to college for a semester. That's a whole different thing. I was trying to go for longer. Um, I was out of state for about 3 months, I think. And then I came back, and I wasn't able to go back to college due to some other things, but I won't get into those. I enjoyed my time there. They had a gym on campus and everything. It was super nice. But again, 2020 during COVID and everything going on. Yeah, I was working hard in the gym, but I still wasn't counting my calories. And my strength was maintained at best. And I was stuck between maintaining my weight and slightly gaining. So I wasn't counting what I was eating or being, proactive about the food I was eating. So then I get back, and since I can't go back to college, I'm like, well, might as well go to work. So I go back to work, and the job I was at the time, they didn't want to give me the hours I wanted. I had a buddy of mine who owns a landscaping business. Played football with him, good dude. He was like, I'll pay you more, and I'll give you, more hours. I'm like, sign me up. This is 2021. This is kind of where it started to change for me. Um, so 2021, I start working for him, and with landscaping, and up here in Alaska in the summertime, since the way the Earth is rotated, the sun is a lot heavier up here, and then it gets hotter a lot easier, as you can tell with the obvious sunburn on my face and on my chest and neck. I just thought I'd point that out. Because I knew someone in the comments would be like, "Why is your face all red?" Well, now you know. So we started working with him, and we were going 8 to 5 every day, sometimes even on weekends, and just brutalizing. You know, it was in essence cardio, doing what I was doing at the time. So I was starting to lose some weight, but I was still kind of stagnant. This was the start. Once it hit kind of actually towards summertime, I started to realize that I needed to change something about me in order to reach the goals that I wanted to reach to, which was to get below 200 pounds. At that point, I had never been below 200 pounds since probably before high school. High school, I was so big at one point, I was almost 300 pounds. It was bad. And I felt gross. I mean, body dysmorphia makes me feel gross all the time, even though I look good. But that's another point. So, summer 2021, me and a buddy of mine, his name's Ethan, we started going to the gym together after school and stuff. This was in before I graduated. Me and him were kind of the two that would go because I would get out of school early. So I'd go over there, I'd go home, change, go to the gym, meet him there, we do our thing. So I'm like, okay, this is not bad. 2021, fast forward, we're back. I'm sorry I'm going back and forth. It's adding components to it with, you're having to go back and pull stuff. I'm sorry. It's a very confusing story. I'm trying to do as best I can. So, I know this video is probably not going to do good, but I feel like it's something you guys should know. How I got to today. So, yeah. 2021, I'm like, I gotta change something. So I'm talking with him, and I was like, I think I want to start counting my calories and meal prepping. He's like, really? He's like, why? I was like, well, if I want to get to where I want to get, I gotta be more careful about what I eat. He's like, that makes sense. Now Ethan's the opposite of me. of trying to lose weight, he's had a hard time gaining weight. So it was kind of it really. I did not mean to burp into this. Excuse me. Apologies. So that kind of worked out for that. I could help him with the foods that would help him gain his weight, and he would help me with certain things to help lose weight. So it's kind of a win-win. And 2021, I started counting my calories, still going to the gym, getting most of my cardio from work. I wasn't doing any extra besides that because I'd work 8 hours a day outside, landscaping, mowing lawns, all kinds of crap. So I did see my weight go down a little bit that year. Um, but when I first started, I was still heavier and stuff like that. I was counting them, but I was inconsistent. Which, as I got better over time, I realized that. At one point, I was really bad at counting them because I would be like, I don't know if I should count this, or it won't hurt anything, In hindsight, it was hurting me more than anything. You know, you're always taught count all your calories. Trying to think of Sam Sulek in my mind. You counting those calories? Did you count those? Are those inputted? Okay. Put that in my brain before every meal. Did I count them? Make sure I got everything calculated. I even put my coffee in my calories. It's 3 calories for a cup of coffee, but I still put it in there because I gotta have everything. So we get to the end of 2021. Started 2022. I'm kind of going into 2022. I'm like, all right, I think this is the year. So I set a goal. 2021, I didn't really have one. I was like, I just want to get consistent with getting my calories counted, doing my cardio, working out. That was the goal for 2021 because I was like, if I have to start at some point, or else I'll never get started. By the end of 2021, I was getting really good. I counted my calories, tracking. I wasn't really tracking my workouts, but I was starting to kind of get a system of how I wanted to do it, and what kind of split I want to do, what kind of exercise I want to improve on, and etc. etc. 2022, I'm like, I gotta go. At that time, my goal was to hit 175 pounds, which is the goal for this cut as well. But in 2022, I hadn't been that light since probably middle school, maybe around then. So I was like, I'm gonna do that, and told my buddies. They're like, okay, I think you can do it. I was like, I think so too. So I find my calories, put them in my app. I was using my Fitness Pal at the time, so it made it super easy. I'm like, all right, here's what I can have in a day. Here's how much I should eat or lose weight with my working out and my cardio. And then I was starting to incorporate a little cardio when I didn't work and I worked out. So on days when, with landscaping, sometimes when it's rainy, everything's wet, stuff like that, you don't work most of the time because you don't want to mess up people's yards. You don't want to, mess anything up or anything like that because that would cost you more money than to go out and do it. So on those days, those are the days I would actually go out and do cardio with my workout and track my calories. So that kind of kickstarted it the beginning of the year 2022. It was going really good. I wasn't meal prepping at this point, but then I got to the point in the summertime or getting closer to spring when I was like, I need to be able to eat on the go when I'm working, when I'm going out and doing my landscaping. I was like, I didn't want to go and just get food and just be okay with it and stuff like that. Because granted, sometimes we'd go out, have lunch, stuff like that, together at various places around town, which was fine. I could find the lower calorie options. I would track everything in there, but then at some point I was like, I need something to be. I need a meal that's consistent every single day. Because at that point, dinner wasn't consistent. It was always something different. I didn't know. I wasn't hitting my macros At that time, I didn't even count my macros. You know, I didn't know how important it was to keep track of my macros. So I was like, I gotta start meal prepping. So what I would do is every Sunday before the start of the week, I would go and I would meal prep. Now I would only eat meal preps for dinner because I wanted to control one meal out of the day that I know how much I'm eating for that meal. I know what calories are in that meal. I know what protein, carbs, all that is in there. I wanted one thing about my day that I'm eating that is, I know what it's going to be every single time. So I started meal prepping. I would do it for every dinner of the week. I think I would do 10. Sometimes I would freeze them, bring them out of the freezer, so that I have 3 and have extras. That's when I started to get into cooking more and meal prepping and being more on top of my stuff. So as 2022, I kept going. I think I started the year at about 225, and I slowly dwindled my way down. About springtime, I was closing in on about 200 pounds. Excuse me. So once I got to the start of work, which is usually about May time up here, I was having about right about 200, closing in on getting to 199. I'm like, I can do this. I can probably get this before the end of the summer. This is when it started to hit that I can actually hit the goal. Because at the point when I made the goal, I was like, that's a little too light. You know, it's a little too light. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Once I hit 190 on the dot that year, I hit it mid May. I'm pretty sure. Because on top of my work cardio, which is just me at work, I was doing an extra 30 minutes at the gym after my workouts. So I was probably doing in total, if I say it was on the treadmill, I would do 30 minutes after work, and work was like doing an hour and a half full incline at 3 miles an hour on the treadmill worth of cardio. And then I was doing 30 minutes of more after that. So I was doing almost 2 hours worth of cardio every single day that I was working. I would rest on the weekends because my legs would be just shot from walking around and doing cardio, which is one reason why I've always disliked cardio. I'm not people that like cardio, or I don't know how you guys do it. It is what it is. Um, so yeah, so what that did is it really slingshotted me to lose the weight as quickly as possible. Um, which it was the goal. So now I'm on this trajectory, and I get to about June, about the middle of June, and I hit 180, pretty sure. And I was like, oh my God, I could do this. The lowest I got to, I actually surpassed my goal. It was in July, about mid-July. I had one day. I hit 172. I saw that on the scale, and I just couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way that I weigh this right now. I was in disbelief. I didn't know it was possible at that point. You know, I had this voice in my brain saying like you couldn't do this. You know, I had all the voices of those people. You know, when I was in high school and even after, just like you're not gonna do it. You you're just gonna gain it all back. You know, you're not gonna do it. And I had that in my brain. I was like, I can't. But I kept pushing myself because in my brain I was like, I have to prove it to myself that I can do it. I did. And that was probably the most cut I've ever been, ever. Like, I think my face looked like I lost like 50 pounds. It was like, I used to be very round down here from, all the weight I was holding, and it just gone. Granted, I didn't have facial hair at the time, so it made it a lot easier to see, But that was the moment I was like, okay, I can do this. This is what I want to do. And that's kind of how it also got me into bodybuilding and, fitness content like this. So that kind of slingshotted me to that. So then it gets to about fall time. And it's like, I need to bulk. Because when you cut, it's probably been explained multiple times, but I'm going to go over it. When you cut, you're depriving yourself of so much food, especially with what I was doing. I was eating probably 1,700 calories a day, and I was miserable. You're tired all the time, your muscles hurt, your strength can go down. As long as you're maintaining your strength, that's what matters. So I was like, I'm not feeling it. I gotta bulk back up. And I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. Because I was like, I'm gonna prove them right, then I'm just gonna gain it all back. And it'll all be for nothing. That was what was going up here. But I was like, I'm gonna do it. So the goal was to bulk back up to 225. And I had been maintaining about 180, 190, which was a healthy weight and a healthy amount of calories for me at the time. So we start the bulk. At this time, I've met my wife. We had became official that fall, so hanging out with her a lot and eating a lot more food because of that, and um, bulk ended last in 2023. So I bulked the entire winter up until 2023 in the spring, and I was disgusted because I hit my goal. I was like, oh, I hit 225. I still got a couple months to go. And we can keep going up, see where we really get to. And like we talked about on the first episode of the bulk, I got overzealous and over carried away. I wasn't like this bulk where I was careful, I was calculated with everything. I was just eating everything I could put in my face, which is not the way you want to do it if you want the best results as it comes with strength, muscle recovery, and other things like that. Another thing, too, I had, I'll put this on here. I had pulled a tendon from between my shoulder here into my pec while benching. So I had to wear a sling for 3 weeks. And that diminished a lot of my gains. I used to be able to bench 225 for 9 reps. I'm pretty sure I hit 275 on the bench. I used to deadlift 405. Used to squat 385. And now I'm still trying to get back up to that. I can still hit 225. I believe I hit a PR and incline for 2 reps last week actually. So I am getting it back now, but back then, 2023, I lost a lot. And then my left arm was significantly weaker than my left or my right because of the sling and having to be in it for 3 weeks. So when I got to the end of that bulk in 2023, I was like, I don't know if I can do this because at that point I felt like I had sabotaged all the progress and gains that I had made the year previously in one winter. I thought it was over because I was like, I'm just too far gone. I looked bloated. I just looked unhappy. I felt gross, and I didn't like it. That's why this last bulk, I was so terrified to do it. But with what happened after that 2023 bulk, when I got done, and I was like, I gotta cut back down. So again, still working landscaping in 2023. At that point, I start the cut. I'm like, okay, we did this last year, same thing. We'll cut the calories. I got the meal preps going. Boom, 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 boom. That summer, it wasn't as hot. We we didn't work as much because it was raining. I had to do a lot more cardio on my own, and it wasn't. It literally took me the entire year to get to about 200 pounds. And in between then, I had switched jobs, um, just because. Oh wait, no, 2023 was just. It was a rough summer. I did get through. I got down to like 210 maybe, and I had switched jobs in the wintertime. I took a part-time job at GNC because we had no work, at least in my opinion. We didn't have a big plow truck or anything, so there's nothing more for me to do. I needed money to pay for my my supplements, my vitamins and stuff. So I took a job at GNC part-time. Worked there. It was good enough, for part-time. I liked it. I got a discount, so that was nice. But that landscaping year was just so bad, and I had gotten to the point where I was getting frustrated with uh, my boss at the time, just because he told us we would work these hours and we would be extended, and a lot of the factors regarding the other things too. I decided to leave, and at the time I was trying to pursue personal training as well, so I had started a course. And in right after I had finished the first part of a 10-part quiz for what I was doing to get certified, I started a new job. I moved into this apartment actually. Um, so it was a really rough time doing all that, changing my hours, and it took a toll. So my weight loss for that cut diminished significantly because of that. So that's when I was thinking that winter, I was like, I don't know if I can do it again. Thankfully, at the time, my now wife, um, she was like, "You can do it because I believe in you." And my dad said it too. He said, "Out of all the people that I know, you have the most heart, the most discipline, and you're the most motivated I have ever seen you. You may not believe in yourself right now, but I know that I do. Evelyn believes in you. We all believe in you. Because out of all of us to reach our goals and our dreams, you're the one to do it." And that flipped the switch in my brain. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did. That following year, I got down to 185. That was big for me at the time. To get below 200 was hard, but I got to it. I got to 180, 185, then to 180. I just stuck at 180 for a little bit. Just chilled. Had a good time. I think I got a little lower than that, but when I got back down, I was like, they were right. I didn't believe myself because I didn't see the picture of me, the big picture of me actually getting to it, because I thought I had messed it all up. All those years in high school, and even before then, of being told I'll never be able to do things, and I'll always be this way, and you'll never change, and all this kinds of stuff. And just because you work out doesn't make a difference. You'll still be the same person before. And it still weighs on me today. But then that brings us to recently. I hit 180. And then I bulked back up, and you guys, I documented it with you guys. And this was the first time in a bulk in period, or any time when I was trying to gain weight, that I was like, we don't have to worry about it. We got this. We know what to do. And you know what? I think this time is out of the 2 times I've ran it, the first time was the best so far. I think this one is going to be even better than last time. So that's why we're doing this series. That's why I'm documenting this, to hold myself accountable, even if, I would without it. But I want to document it for you guys because I want to show you what it's like to just have that determination, to push yourself to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable in situations with cardio, with lifting weights, with tracking your calories, with meal prepping, all this stuff. I want to send my message to everybody that no matter what your goal is, as long as you believe in it and put your heart, your soul, dedicate to it, you can achieve anything. Anything. Because I know it took a lot for me to get this far. It takes a lot for me to talk to you on this, to my phone. I'm literally sitting in my living room right now talking to my phone. 2 years ago, I would have been like, you're dumb. Because at that point, I didn't think it would have been worth it. But now that I know that I think my story can help others, and I feel like getting my story out and, talking about it, I know this is a more summed up version. But I felt like it's the most important one because it tells the struggle I went through to get to where I am, the ups, the downs, the lows, the really highs, and I felt like this was the time to do it. As I'm growing, I feel like I need to get the story out about my journey through the gym, through meal prepping, and dedicating myself, and the mindset, and all the bad things said, and everything to get to where I am now, and have all you guys supporting me and all this kinds of stuff. It means a lot. So that'll be today's video. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed listening to my story. I hope it motivates you to get into the gym and to pursue your goals and your fitness aspirations. So, I hope for you guys this helps know what it took me to get to where I am now. So, from me and my sleepy little boy Tito's, we say goodbye. Alright, and I'll see you guys next week. I'll have a workout video for next week, so keep an eye out for that. And as always,